Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to another episode of Savory and Sucka Free, where candid conversation meets flavorful faith. I am your host, Nicci Page, creator of the Glow Code, the online space for around the way girls who are unashamed of the gospel. And I'm so happy to have you here with me for another episode. As you know, this week we are talking about, let's see if I can put it up there. Yes, student loan forgiveness, fair or foul. As you know, this has been all the rage this week. Probably the biggest news story this past week was Joe Biden announcing a new loan forgiveness program. I'm sure you guys have seen it, and I would be interested to know down in the chat what your thoughts about it were. Before I kind of let y'all know how I'm feeling about it. If you're watching on a replay, make sure that you like the video, like the live stream, make sure that you drop a comment, and that you also um, subscribe to the channel, please. It's free. Just hit the subscribe button. These people and their algorithm and what they push to the top of, your feeds and stuff. If you want quality content that vibrates on the faith frequency that is often, occasionally semi-entertaining, you really, really, really need to go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and maybe share the video. Let your homies know about the Glow Code, okay? Because, you can have interesting conversations that are not about the conversation that, for whatever reason, YouTube seems to be obsessed with, about relationships and who's worse, men or women, or why these people can't get married and why these people are dusty, and or how many prison bids you done and who slashed who and who was a gangster back in 1986. That seems to be, you know, what goes on in the black YouTubes. But I mean, we can have a breath of fresh air. We can have a candid conversation about current events that is meaningful, that is well thought out, that is researched, that might be positive in some way. So if you want, again, quality content that vibrates on the faith frequency, if you want adult conversation, if you want conversations where you can actually hear what people are saying, when you can actually understand intelligible words, I got you right over here at the Glow Code. If you want experts and women and also men who are leaders in their field, I'll be having some guests coming on soon as we, continue with Savory and Sucka Free. And as you know, the show is called Savory and Sucka Free because we are called to be the salt of the earth. We are called to be savory. So, if you want some savory conversations, you tired of watching all them unsavory shows and podcasts you've been watching, you just want a little bit of salt, you right here, you ain't gonna get no high blood pressure or nothing. It's the good kind of salt. And we are sucker free because we tells the truth over here. We're not allowing pop culture to project or program us on what we believe, what we think, what is the truth. We are led first and foremost by our king, and he gave us a constitution, also known as the Bible. So that's what goes down over here. We are savory, but we are also sucker free. We're not afraid to tackle some of the hard topics, but to address them in an adult, mature, thought out, and faith focused way. All right, I said all of that to say welcome. I hope you all had a great weekend. I hope that you got some rest, that you got you some Sabbath rest, and that you had time to think about this student debt relief program and what you thought about it. Before we get started, you see the scroll going across the bottom. I'm asking you all to go ahead and sign up for Soul Glow September. That's going to be my free 4-week group coaching program starting in September. We're starting on September 7th, so you still got some time to sign up. The link is at the top of the chat. If you're watching this on a replay, the link will be also in the description box. So hit that link, sign up, totally free, 4-week group coaching, totally free. And again, it's going to be faith focused to kind of help us get our minds right to finish 2022 strong. We're heading into Q4. It's the final 3 months of the year. So it's designed for us to commune, to come together as women of faith, as professional women, and kind of figure out what can we do so that our souls glow and so that we are ready to go out into the world in the fourth quarter and do what we're supposed to be doing, and to accomplish the goals that we're supposed to accomplish, and to be prepared to, be on guard for some of the stuff that's going on out here. All right, so hopefully you're all here. Hopefully you're all ready. I'm hoping that this is going to be a little more lighthearted show, because I know we've had some pretty serious topics in the past couple of weeks. This is my fourth consecutive week of being here. I am giving myself a soul clap, because y'all know I've been honest with y'all about my struggle with consistency, but this is a full month. I'm gonna go ahead right now and just make sure that you all can hear me. I'm gonna check on my phone, make sure the sound is good, and then we'll get started. Okay, so yeah, I guess you guys can hear me. Cool beans. All right, so I'm gonna pull my slides up because y'all know I like to have visual aids. I like to be prepared. I like to actually have some kind of, professional looking presentation for you all. So, again, when I say quality content, I do mean quality content that vibrates on the faith frequency over here at the Glow Code. All right, so we're gonna get started. I don't know how many of you have student loans. I mean, if you anything like the people in my circle, probably 9 out of 10 of y'all gonna raise your hand and say you had a student loan, or you've paid yours off already, but you're familiar with the student loan struggle. Because, child, let me tell you, your girl had all the loans. All the loans. Okay. Y'all can say what y'all want about old Sleepy Joe. Okay. Say what you want. All right. We still got a little bit of free speech around here, so you could say what you want about old Sleepy Joe. I might have been saying some of the same things. However, when it comes to this student loan situation, when it comes to this, getting Navient and Nelnet and Sally Mae and her three cousins up off my back, y'all gonna have to leave old Papa Joe, give him 5 feet on that, because I'm gonna tell y'all what he had done for me. Okay. And really it's what the Lord had done for me. And maybe he just used old Joe Biden as his vessel. But I'm gonna tell y'all my testimony as we go forward. These are all the places that you guys can follow me. If you can check in the lower third general website, niccipage.com. And then you have Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can find me there. For those of you who are not familiar, maybe this is your first time here. I am a writer, a speaker, a lawyer, and a board certified coach. And, that's probably why I had all the loans. It was the law school that had done it for me. But again, this is Savory and Sucka Free, and these are the places where you can find me. All right. So, law school, student loans. Fair or foul? You guys let me know in the chat. You can just type fair or foul. And if you're watching this on a replay, you also drop in the comments. Let me know if you feel like this student loan forgiveness is fair, or if you think it's foul. If you think it's a money grab, a money giveaway, and because you ain't getting nothing, nobody else should get it either. Let's talk about it. So let's first kind of go over some of these student loan issues. I want to do this slide first. So this slide is kind of telling us, let me see if I can bring myself up on here a little bit. Okay. That overall in the United States, there is about 1.75 trillion with a T outstanding balances of student loans. Now, I don't even really know for sure how to conceptualize trillions of dollars, but it just sounds like a whole heap of a lot. I don't know where, I can't remember. They said student loan debt is now outpaced like credit card debt. I don't know if it's outpaced mortgages. I'm not sure, but it's definitely either the number one or number two kind of debt category that we have in the United States right now. Total US borrowers with student loan debt, 45 million people. And direct loans, student loans that are currently in default, 110.5 billion with a B. And I guess Forbes magazine is telling me that that is 5 million borrowers that are currently in default. So 5 million people just ain't paying. And again, with this whole pandemic, I can understand, maybe people ain't got it. Times is hard. Maybe some people just gave up because the way these loans is set up, it don't be giving you no hope that you ever gonna be able to finish paying. So you might just say, okay, if these loans is gonna take me to the grave or be with me to the grave, then ain't no sense in me paying. Because if you ain't going away, why am I paying? If I'm pay, you should go away. That needs to be a hashtag. If I pay, you should go away. I'm gonna bring myself up on the screen and say it like super clear. If I pay, you should go away. Because the way they do this fuzzy math now with these loans, and I think this is one of the things that people got it mixed up. They got it messed up. These people out here who are saying, oh, it's not fair. They should pay. They should pay. They took out a loan. They made a commitment. They should fulfill their commitment. I feel you. Okay. But if I pay, the loan should go away. All right. But what's happening is, in my experience and the experience of many people in my circle, we've been paying and that loan been staying. Okay. It has taken up residence. It ain't going nowhere. Ain't no tenant court I could go to. That loan has squatters' rights. Okay. It's not going anywhere. We pay and it stay. All right. I'm going to talk about that a little more too. I just wanted to, we might want to get that hashtag going. If we pay, it should go away. Somebody need to let Sally May and them know. All right. Back to my slides. How do I get back where I was? Okay. Next slide. Okay. This is showing us the distribution. And again, all of this I got from Forbes magazine. This is showing us the distribution of student loan borrowers by balance. So Forbes is telling me that more than 44 million student loan borrowers have student loan debt of 100,000 or less. More than 38 million student loan borrowers have student loan debt of 60,000 or less. Okay. Then more than 3 million student loan borrowers have student loan debt greater than 100,000, with approximately 900,000 of those holding loan debts greater than 200,000. Y'all, greater than 200,000. There's almost 1 million people who owe student loans in excess of $200,000. Okay. Next, it says the largest concentration of student loan debt is in the amounts of $20,000 to $40,000, which accounts for 9.7 million borrowers. So most people are thankfully in that lower range of 20 to 40,000. But the thought of almost 1 million people having in excess of 200,000, and when they say in excess, I don't know what that means. Does that mean 201,000 or does that mean 350,000? I don't really know, but owing almost $250,000 in student loan debt is nuts. I mean, that's like a house. And depending on where you live, that could be 2, 3, or depending on the type of house, 10, 12 houses. Okay. And when you think about the interest on that and the fact that even a house you could sell, even a house would be like an asset that you could sell and maybe recoup some of your funds or whatever. But $200,000 in student loan debt, what do you do with that? You don't have it. It's not backed by any asset. There's nothing you could do. It's like just an albatross around your neck, just staying, like I said. So I want to go back because I think I skipped a slide. But again, drop in the chat and let me know if you have student loans, if student loans has been something that you've struggled with, or maybe if you're one of these people who were able to pay off your student loans. I'm gonna give y'all a soul clap. Kudos to you. That is an accomplishment. I was trying, y'all. I promise I was. I was trying. I'm going to go back to this other slide that I skipped. Okay, so this was another program earlier this year, and maybe no, it started last year, last October. The Public Service Student Loan Forgiveness Program. Now, this is something that had been out there for years, I remember it first came out when I was practicing law in the DA's office in the Bronx. And the premise was if you do public service work for 10 years and you pay on your loan during those 10 years, which would be approximately 120 payments, that your loans, if you had anything left, would be canceled, completely canceled. But see, they was on some funny business. The government, I know no one's shocked, but they were on some funny business with this program because the way they had it set up, nobody really qualified. And by nobody, I mean only about 2% of the people who applied for this loan forgiveness actually received it at the time. And a couple months ago, 60 Minutes did a full like expose on it where whoever they allowed to implement this program or whoever wrote it wrote in so many like caveats and footnotes and extra stuff that disqualified almost everybody. And by almost everybody, I mean 98% of the people who applied for it. For myself, I was disqualified, and this program only applied to federal loans. So if you had private loans, it didn't count. It didn't qualify. It only applied to federal loans. And so I had federal student loans, but my student loans were not in the right category. So I had federal loans, they were backed by the government, but my loans were serviced like by the wrong company. So even though I had federal loans, I was told I did not qualify for the program. Now, when they told me I didn't qualify, I had already done some years of public service, and they were telling me you're going to have to start over from the beginning. You're going to have to consolidate your loan into the right provider and then start over from the beginning with your public service. If that didn't sound like a scam, I don't know what does. But I was like, are you kidding? Are you serious? Like, I'm already more than halfway through the 10 years, and now you're going to tell me my loans don't apply, even though they are government loans, because they're being serviced by the wrong company. And I need to start back over with the 10 years. That was a rough night. That was a rough night, people. A rough night. So I thought at that point that, oh, well, I'm not going to get it. There's nothing I can do. I'm not about to like start over from the beginning. So I just felt like threw up my hands and was like, okay, I'm stuck with this. There's nothing I can do. I got these loans. But then, surprise, surprise, after that expose last year from 60 Minutes, where they talked to so many people who had done years of public service, who had been turned away, who couldn't, who applied but were rejected for the same reason that I was rejected. Their loans were like FEEL loans instead of, they were FEEL loans instead of FELP or something like that. I'm not really sure, but people had that same issue. There was also issues in how they were defining public service. They were actually telling people, service members who were like in active duty defending the country, that did not count as public service. I mean, it was cray. It was crazy. It was clearly like a program that was set up to not do anything, but just to look like you were doing something. And after that expose, they got called on it. And back in October, that would have been October 2021, they came out with a waiver program, which is basically like them saying, okay, we're busted. We understand the way we've been implementing this program was kind of like, false advertisement. We understand that basically only 2 people ever got this loan forgiveness, and that's wrong. So we're going to have a waiver program where if you did 10 years of public service and if you have federal loans, cool, fill out this waiver. Give us the affidavits from the places where you worked to, provide documentation of the years that you worked there, what you were doing, that you were full-time while you worked there. And, we'll look over, the fine print. Like, so for me, even though I had worked for those 6 years, when my loans were in the wrong category, I got credit for that. And then I had kept working at the same place. So God is so good, because I wanted to leave this job. These people was getting on my nerves. I could not take it no more. I wanted to leave, but I was like, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna just stay. I'm just gonna do one more year. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna get to my 10. Because I was thinking I was getting to my 10 for pension purposes. So I was pressing myself to get to the 10. Come to find out, at the end of the 10 years, something hooky went on with not the pension. I still got the pension, but the Medicaid, what you get when you retire as far as Medicaid, because I'm not technically, at the time I retire, I won't be in New York City anymore. I don't think I'll get that. But it turns out, won't he do it? Because I stayed until the 10 years, I was able to qualify for the waiver program for the public service loan forgiveness program. So when they came out with that waiver, they said, okay, we're not going to be too picky about your application. Just prove to us that you worked for 10 years in public service. Prove to us that you made 110 payments, whether they were consecutive payments, whether they were full payments, whether they were partial payment. Just tell us you sent us 120 checks of whatever amount and that you were working in public service when you sent them. And we just gonna overlook the rest of these stupid rules that we have put on this program. So it was a lot of rigmarole because I know a lot of people now are like, how is this gonna work? The system crashed. Where's the application? Where do I file? I went through that too with the public service forgiveness, but it all worked out. I submitted it, and y'all, free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. Your girl is free at last. Joe Biden done forgave my loans. Now, I don't know if you can fully conceptualize the feeling of the weight and burden of tens of thousands of dollars that you owe, even though you've been paying for like 20 years. And we're going to talk about this and the fairness of this, because I know people have issues like, why should you get your loans forgiven? You should just pay your loans. And I think there's a misconception out there that like people are not paying their loans. That's a lie. That is a misconception. People are paying on their loans, but the loans are not going away. Okay, that is the problem. I think that's the more fundamental problem that maybe the government needs to look at. Like, what is going on with the way these loans are structured that is making it that it's almost impossible, short of like being independently wealthy and just having racks on racks on racks on racks on racks to pay. Why is it so hard to discharge this debt? Like, people are paying on it for years and the numbers like not moving or barely moving, or get this, moving in the wrong direction, meaning now you owe more than you actually took out, even though you've been paying for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years. So we'll talk about that. But back to, so the public service student loan forgiveness, finally, once they got it rocking, I think it was a great program. Hey, Harrison, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Let me know in the chat. You got some student loans? You mad that Joe Biden talking about giving people $10,000? You mad? You mad? You think people running in the victim Olympics? Let me know. Because I'm telling you right now, when it comes to me, if getting your loans forgiven mean you was in the victim Olympics, I'm gonna have to tell you, I was in the 70 something $1,000 dash. Okay, lane 3. That was me in the victim Olympics, the 70 something $1,000 dash, and I'm so glad that I have been canceled. Hallelujah. So I hope y'all don't think I was no deadbeat. I'm telling you, I was paying on them joints. I was paying. When I say paying, I don't mean like $25. I was paying hundreds of dollars a month, and the number was not dwindling. It was actually increasing. So when y'all can tell me, when you want to talk about fairness, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair to be paying somebody $500 a month for 20 years and your number gets going up instead of down. That's not fair. So can you please write your congressman about that while you complaining about somebody getting a little $10,000? Anyways, I get heated, so I'm just going back to my slides. So what Harrison says, I do, and I'm not mad. I've already invested about 10,000 in the years I've been teaching. Not invested, donated. Okay, listen, did you get on the public service student loan forgiveness though? Because if you're a teacher, that should qualify. And I think they actually have a special program for just for teachers. But yeah, people don't understand the struggle. And I was living in New York City too. Between my loans and my rent, your girl was a whole lawyer eating ramen on a regular basis. Like, it was hard. The first couple years out of law school, when I was in the DA's office in New York City, only making $46,000 pre-tax, it was the struggle bus. All right, so I'm gonna go through this slide. Forbes says that from the public service loan forgiveness form submitted, there were 1,175,672. Borrowers who submitted applications, it says 863,757. I'm one of them. Borrowers whose loans were discharged, 117,426. I'm one of them, and I am grateful. I'm grateful. I can't even tell you when I got that thing in the mail saying, and they sent a casual little 2-line email to my email address talking about your loans are discharged, you don't owe anything else. And I was like, what? I typed in, when it logged in, looked at my balance, and it said 0. I thought it was a joke. I thought I was being punked. I thought I reread the email and like 4-5 times just to make sure I wasn't missing nothing. Then them joints came off my credit report. Ooh, child. I wasn't alive in 1863, 1862, round about them. I wasn't there for the original Juneteenth, okay? But when I tell you, I know something about being told you are now free. Let me know in the chat if you done had your loans forgiven, if you know the experience of finally being able to breathe and feel like, oh my gosh, it's finally over and I never thought it would end. Let me know. So they say the total amount of student loans that have been discharged for public service is 7.9 billion with a B dollars. Now let me see if I'm, and then the average student loan balance discharged was $67,592. Mine was more than that. Woo, child. Next slide. Let's see, Harrison. What did you say? You said government subsidies for farmers. No one bats an eye. Tell the truth. People get college loans forgiven and people get out there. They were protesting. No, they were not protesting. Actually, I do know they were protesting. I didn't yet. If it's not too late, I'll try. You definitely should. I don't know. We're going to talk about the faith kind of sort of implications of these people who mad that somebody got their debts forgiven. Like, was you in church this morning mad that somebody had their debts forgiven? Were you? Because if you were, you might want to do some introspection. Now, Forbes is also saying, what is this? The number of student loan borrowers by age. This is just giving you the distribution of age groups. The one that kind of gets me is the one at the bottom. 2.5 million borrowers are greater than 62 years old. So somebody out here is a grandmother, or depending on, your zip code, possibly a great grandmother at 62, and still paying on their student loans. And this is what I was talking about earlier, like how they make it so hard to finish paying. You can be paying for 20 years, 30 years, and you're still not finished. So let's see. Most people, though, if you can see, between the ages of 25 to 49, that age group seems to have the most amount of student loans. And I ain't done no studies, but that makes sense to me, because that would be Generation X and the early millennials, the generation, the first generation where everyone was told you have to go to college, like where everybody went to college, where not everybody, but like, more people than previously had gone to college. We were the generation that was basically told, if you want a career, not just a job, you need to have a degree. And so we were also the generation that got to college when they decided to start charging 2 arms and 3 ankles for every credit. So yeah, age the elderly, the AARP members still paying on their loans. Generation X and the millennials got loans, and it looks like the people after us are like getting hip to the game. Like, do I really need to go to college? And I'm gonna go ahead and say, depending on what you want to do with your life, probably not. And if you like some of my cousins and them who ain't even really go to high school, I don't know why you're trying to go to college. Next slide. This is just talking about the debt distribution of the amounts. When you look at the larger amounts, like 100,000 to 200,000, 2.4 million borrowers with 100 to 200,000. When I finished law school, I was more than 100,000 at that point. And after years and years and years and years of paying, I had only kind of whittled it down to like 70 something. And then there's 900,000 people, like I said before, who owe more than $200,000, which is cray. All right, so I want to play this video for you because, as Harrison has said, some people is like big mad about it. Like, how dare you throw $10,000 at somebody's student loan debt? I mean, they act like he was paying off your Discover card or something. Like you went to Tulum on a vacation and Joe Biden wants to pay your credit card bill. Like, they're acting like this isn't sort of like you took out these loans for an investment in yourself, which presumably would have been an investment for the betterment of the country and society at large. They're acting like you just bought 5011 Gucci belts and Joe Biden wants to pay your loan. I mean, people are just not. Anyways, y'all know this lady on the screen, Marjorie. Oh, Marjorie. Oh, Marjorie. Let's see what she had to say. I'm going to see if I can play this for you guys. This is her complaint, which echoes so many other people's complaints about how they feel about the situation.
But for our government just to say, okay, well, your debt is completely forgiven. Obviously, they have an agenda for that. They need votes in November. So the timing is a pure coincidence there as well. But it's completely unfair. And taxpayers all over the country, taxpayers that never took out a student loan, taxpayers that pay their bills and maybe even never went to college, or just hardworking people, they shouldn't have to pay off the great big student loan debt for some college student that piled up massive debt going to some Ivy League school. That's not fair.
All right. So that's how Marjorie felt about it. Basically saying it's not fair for taxpayer dollars to go to subsidize the education of people who made the decision to go to some Ivy League school. And the way she said it was so flippant, like that's a bad thing, like it's negative, like who told you to go to get the best education you could possibly get? Like, how dare you? And not to say that there's anything wrong with state school, not to say that there's anything wrong with public, state schools, public institutions, whatever, community college. Listen, there's a lane for everybody. However, one of those lanes is Ivy League or competitive colleges. Now, if you didn't have no business being there, that's one thing. But for myself, I know I went to a very competitive college that was expensive. And, it wasn't, because they try to make it seem like people going to college who shouldn't be going. And there are some people doing that. But in my experience, most of the people that I knew in my vicinity, in Boston, my friends were at Harvard, my friends were at MIT, BU, BC, Wellesley, Tufts. We would have interaction with people from Dartmouth, people from Yale, Brown, whatever. That was my circle in college. Most of the people that were there were very bright. Like, you don't get there just because, unless maybe you got a certain last name. But for most people worked hard. People were valedictorians of their class. People were National Honor Society. People were in the Junior Olympics, medalists. People had invented things. These were very, very bright and very accomplished people. Not to say that they couldn't have gone to state school, but you want to go to the best school that's going to give you the best chance of advancement in your life. And some people make the calculation that if I have a degree from Harvard, that's going to be, say, something different, even though I possibly could get the same education as far as the classroom and the books at ABC State. My experience at Harvard, my network at Harvard, my Rolodex that I'm going to get from going to Harvard is not going to be the same as that coming from ABC State. And I don't think we can understate, no pun intended, understate the value of those experiences, of having those connections. And that's something that you only get at specific institutions. And I think there's a value to that, because if there's anything that I've learned in my adult life and in my professional life, it's that what you learn in the classroom isn't necessarily, and for I would go ahead and say, is most of the time not determinative of where you end up. People hire people they know, people recommend people they know, people hire and recommend people that they like. And so when you are in a certain type of community, a certain kind of club, if you will, it means something. Like I went to Wellesley College. When people ask me where I went to college and I tell them where I went, people who know, it's like an automatic like check. It's like an unspoken vouch. She's vouched for. And this is from men, women, older people, it's like being a member of a specific exclusive club when you have a degree from a specific type of institution. And I think that there is, unfortunately, I mean, you could say that that's not fair, that that's elitism or whatever. Okay, but I'm just saying that it is. In the society that we live in right now, there is a value to that. Okay, so I'm not going to be like, oh, nobody told you to go to Harvard. Nobody told you to go to Stanford. Nobody told you. And another kind of fallacy that I think people are pushing is that everybody just majored in ice skating or basket weaving. Like, no, the people that I went to school with were, molecular engineers and organic chemists. And some of us did have liberal arts degrees. I had a liberal arts degree. I double majored in English and political science, but it wasn't like they try to make it seem like liberal arts is ridiculous and why would anyone major in that. Maybe you, in today's world, maybe you do need to double major, or maybe you do need a minor. And obviously you probably do want to go to graduate school for a particular discipline. For myself, law school. But I'm not discounting liberal arts as just like stupid. Like, why would anybody major in a liberal arts? Now, I'm not here for the basket weaving. Like, don't be majoring in basket weaving, but I'm just not throwing away the entire category of liberal arts. Like, that to me is crazy. And most people that I know actually majored in actual degrees. Now, listen, it's some other schools out there where I guess everybody major in communications. I never understood what that was, but I went to a school that don't even have communications as an option. Like, that's not even a major. Like, what are those? Okay. So I see what you're saying. If you are going to borrow this amount of money to go to school, yes, maybe major in something that is going to be useful. I hear you. However, on the flip side of that, I do think that there is some use to the liberal arts. As a matter of fact, I think it might be something that's necessary as I look in culture and I see children who can barely speak in full sentences, who get all of their information off of YouTube, who haven't read a classic. I think that there's a space and a need for the liberal arts. I don't think basket weaving is one of them, but yeah, don't just assume that because someone majored in liberal arts that that's stupid. And don't assume that everyone who's going to college is majoring in liberal arts. Um, what else did I want to say? So I played that little video from Marjorie Taylor Greene just saying that it's not fair for taxpayer dollars to be going to student loans. But what she had failed to disclose is that she herself had some loans forgiven, and not just $10,000. Old girl had in one of them PPP loans, and she had $183,504 forgiven. So I just find it a little odd that you out here running your mouth about what's fair and what's not fair, and that what taxpayers' money should be going to, when you complaining about taxpayer dollars going to cancel the debt of students who've gone to school. Meanwhile, you a member of Congress applying for taxpayer dollar PPP loan, and you ain't had nothing to say when my tax dollars went to forgive your PPP loan. It's just hypocrisy. It's the height of hypocrisy. Okay, Bubblehead Mo, you saying it's foul. Tell me why you think it's foul. I want to know. Let me put your comment up. You said it's foul. So you think the student loan cancellation, student loan forgiveness is foul. I want to know why. I want to know why. Bobblehead, why is it foul? Give me a reason. Is it just you feel left out? Or is it that you fully paid yours off so you feel like other people should have to go through the struggle? Which one is it? I want to know why. I'm so confused. Like, why are people mad? Like, tell me why you mad, son. Okay, so Bobblehead Mo says we should be focusing on using that money to better schools. Okay, so you mean like to make our elementary and our like secondary schools better, like high school, middle school, for that to be better. Okay, listen, that's a better explanation than I've been hearing from other people, because other people just seem like they jealous. Teachers are underpaid. You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. I feel you on that. Um, and low income students do not have proper resources. I feel you on that. You ain't lying. I agree. But my question to you would be, do you think if they didn't use this money to forgive $10,000 in student debt, and I think it goes up to 20,000, but if they didn't use the money for that, let me come up on the screen. If they weren't using the money for this loan program, do you think they were going to use it to better schools? Like, is there anything in the history of, this administration or the past 55 that leads you to believe that anybody's really concerned about bettering schools? Or do you think they're going to send 5011 more Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine? What you think is more likely to happen with that money? Let me know. They're going to buy some books or they're going to send some bombs. Let me know what you think they're going to do. If they don't use this money for student loan forgiveness, they're going to buy some books or they're going to send some bombs. What you think is more likely to happen? Because they're going to spend your money somewhere. Am I foul for being okay with them spending it on me? Is that wrong? Let me know. Okay. You said 110K. What's 110K? What was that? Is that how much you paid off yourself? Because if you did, I want to give you a kudos and a clap clap. That would be something to be proud of. Oh, so yeah, I guess that is what it is. You said you salty. Don't be salty. Don't be salty. See. I've never seen. First of all, thank you for being here. I hope you've hit the like, comment, subscribe button. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. But if you've never been here before, if you've never seen any of my content, this is a faith space actually. So this is where we have candid conversations, but we have meaningful conversations as well. This is where candid conversations meet flavorful faith. All right. So I'm gonna touch on to the faith perspective of this, like why would a person of faith be upset that someone else's debt is forgiven when we've all had a specific debt forgiven? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. You said people need to sacrifice. See, this is what I think, and I talked about this. I don't know if you were watching. I think there's a misconception that people are not sacrificing. When I finished law school, I had upwards of $100,000 in student loans. I was paying them. I was paying hundreds of dollars a month, but my loans were not shrinking. The number just kept getting bigger, even though I was paying on them. I was sacrificing. I was working in a public capacity. Instead of going to work for a high powered law firm where I could have made $200,000 a year, I sacrificed and I worked in the public service sector as a district attorney in the Bronx, where my starting salary was $46,000 a year pre-tax in New York City. That was a struggle. That was a sacrifice. So I'm just here to offer the other half of the equation, just to not think that everybody out there just took out all these loans, were C minus to D students, had no intentions of paying, and majored in basket weaving, and now they're getting free money. I feel like that is sort of the assumption, but I'm telling you that that's not the case. I have so many women that I went to college with who are doctors, who are chemists, who are lawyers, who some of them are in public service, in public office, who paid on their loans. They've been paying for years. We've been paying for 15, 16, 17, 18 years. But the number's not going away. And if it does, it's going down by like incremental small amounts. And because cost of living and things like that, it is a sacrifice and it is a struggle. So I just don't want you to think that people are just all willy-nilly taking loans with no intent to pay. Listen, bobblehead mug. We gonna get to it. I know that's what it say, bro. I know. We need to have a balanced approach. Hang with me for 2 seconds. I'm gonna get to it because I got a scripture coming up, and we're probably thinking of the same one. All right. So first, before we get to the scriptures, because we're almost at the end, I got 3 scriptures I want to share with y'all, and then we're gonna get out of here. The way that people are coming for the neck of those of us who have had our loans discharged and canceled, because if you weren't here earlier, bobblehead, I was a recipient of the public service student loan forgiveness program, and I had my entire student loan kind of balance forgiven. Okay. Now that was in response to, or in exchange for 10 years of working in the public service sector and 10 years of paying. So the program was structured like you ain't just getting this for free. Like you gave us 10 years of your life, okay, and 10 years of payments. And when I say 10 years of your life, I'm not being, dramatic, because y'all know I could be dramatic sometimes. What I mean is, for me specifically, working in the DA's office, I was working nights, holidays, weekends, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, on salary. So there was no time and a half. There was no extra for being here on Christmas morning. It was just like, girl, you get paid $46,000 a year. You're going to be here on Christmas and Easter and Mother's Day and Saturday. And you're going to work a night shift from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Thank you. Get home back to Brooklyn safely. We ain't got no ride for you, but you better be back here tomorrow. That was my life. So I feel specifically that I worked for mine. I feel like I earned mine. Ain't nobody about to shame me or make me feel no type of way about getting my loans forgiven, because I feel like I gave you more. I gave you 10 years of my life. So miss me with the handout. Okay? No. Now, prodigal son parable. So anyone who has any sort of familiarity with the Bible, we've all heard this parable of the prodigal son who got his inheritance early. He asked his daddy for his inheritance early, which he got. Then he squandered it. He was in them streets. He was at the club. He was making it rain. He was buying Gucci belts. He was flying to Tulum. He was doing all the things and spent all his money and ended up in a pig pen. Okay, which for a Hebrew is nasty. So, he finally one day is like, why am I sleeping in a pig pen? My father's rich. Let me go home and see if I can get some mercy. So he goes home, and the father's like so happy, sees him in the distance. Oh, my son is coming. The father's not even thinking about the fact that he squandered his inheritance, that was kind of disrespectful, and that he used up his inheritance, so he shouldn't really get nothing else. The son is not expecting to get anything else, but the father throws like not a ball, a feast for him, and welcomes him with open arms and doesn't shame him at all for squandering the inheritance. But his brother was kind of shady McGrady. I'm not gonna say his brother was being like bobblehead. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say his brother was acting like Marjorie Taylor Greene in them, but his brother was salty. Okay, it was like, why is he getting a feast when he squandered the inheritance? I've been here the whole time. I did the right thing. I followed the rules. Why is he the one getting the feast? What's up with that? So I think there's a sort of similar situation going on here, where people who have paid off their debt, or people who didn't go to college and found another way in life, people who became plumbers or HVAC technicians or over the road truckers or other types of, or entrepreneurs of any kind, feel some type of way like, okay, we did the right thing. We did the right thing. We found a way, or we took out loans, but we paid ours back. Why are these people who can't get their stuff together, why are they getting their loans paid? We should be the ones being rewarded for paying ours off, not these people. And I would just encourage us to maybe embrace the idea that instead of, being mad that somebody's loans got paid off, maybe you could look at this as a fellow citizen in many ways, being brought from death to life. And I know that sounds dramatic. Obviously, I was never dead, but I spoke earlier about knowing that you owe six figures of money and that the interest is capitalized, such that even though you are making payments, this principal is never going anywhere. Like, it's just staying there. It's like drip, 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 maybe going down incrementally, but like this loan is just going to be here for the foreseeable future. And to have that debt lifted, it really did feel like a rebirth of some sort. It felt like, okay, now there's a chance. Now I can breathe. Okay, now I'm not like oppressed by this, overwhelming debt. Okay. So I would encourage people, instead of just being mad, that somebody else um got a little, mercy, got a little grace, maybe you should be happy for that person instead of being negative about it. I mean, I feel like people are thinking of it like this person is taking something from me. And listen, I'm gonna make myself big on the screen for this. I get it. I get it. Because even though I ain't got no kids, I still have to pay my taxes so that your kids can go to public school. I'm not out here marching on Washington about not having kids, so therefore I shouldn't have to pay taxes for school. I'm not getting into no car accidents, but my insurance premium might be high because other people are getting in accidents. My tax dollars go for people's housing, people's food, people's insurance, people's Medicaid, Medicare. I didn't tell you to eat all them pork chops and smoke 2 packs. Why is it my job for my money to go to that? What I'm trying to illustrate is, in our society, we're all paying for something that isn't coming directly to us, but it's under the understanding that a healthy society requires us all to give a little bit, and we all should be receiving a little bit. In fact, this student loan relief is the first time I ever felt like I actually got something from my tax dollars, to be honest. I never went to public school. I went to private school my whole life. I wasn't on Medicaid. I wasn't on Medicare. I wasn't on welfare. I wasn't on Section 8. I didn't get none of that stuff. I was paying taxes, lots of taxes, when I lived in New York City. And I never qualified for anything because I made too much money to qualify for anything, but not enough money to like do anything else. So this student loan forgiveness for me was like actually the first time in my life where I felt like, oh, the government actually did something for me. Isn't that nice? Wonderful. So instead of begrudging someone for getting student loan forgiveness, I would encourage us to, to try to put ourselves in that person's shoes, to try to see it from their perspective, and to understand that in this society, we all, our tax money is going for other people's stuff all the time. So people who are broke because half of their money go to rent and the other half go to student loans, they're paying taxes and they don't have kids because they never felt like they could afford to have kids, but their tax dollars is paying for your public school. Their tax dollars is, paying for somebody else's Section 8. Their tax dollars are paying for somebody else's EBT card. They're tired of standing in the Walmart and looking at everybody in front of them got an EBT card and they're the only person there paying with their own money. Ask me how I know. We're tired of that too. So I'm just saying, maybe just look at it from a different perspective. Um, all right. Two more slides and then we're done. Then we're out of here. Again, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you mad that other people got their student loans forgiven. If you mad that you didn't go to college and you feel like you should have just went to college and got it for free too. Or if you understand that this is intended to help society as a whole, even if it doesn't personally help you, like maybe there's a selfishness issue going on here when we're just upset. Like, who gets upset that somebody else got good news? Like, why are you mad that I got good news? That's a little weird to me. Just a little bit. Especially, as I said, this is a faith-focused channel. Like, I don't know how you proclaiming to be a believer, but you mad that somebody else got set free. What part of the game is that? What part of the game is it for you to be like, I'm a believer, but I want you in shackles? I'm a believer, but I want you oppressed. I'm a believer, but I want you in bondage. Where they do that at? What part of believer is saying, well, I was able to set myself free, so you figure out how to set yourself free. You stay in bondage until you can figure it out. How is that? Where they do, like, what is that about? Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, whatever. Next slide. Oh, I think I went too far. Did I skip one? Okay. So again, I think we need to be balanced about this. I understand, fiscal responsibility and whatnot. So to that extent, the Bible does talk about the wicked borrow and do not repay. So I get it. I'm not out here saying people should just be borrowing money and intentionally in their mind saying, I'm borrowing this with no intentions of repaying. That is wicked. And as I have said multiple times here, many of us who had overwhelming student loan debt, it's not that we had that much debt because we weren't paying. It's that the system itself is wicked and it is set up to keep you from ever being able to pay it off. And I think that is the underlying problem that I would like the government to maybe try to do something about. Like, thank you for this loan forgiveness, but can we do something about the structural problems and how student loans are functioning as a whole? So, yes, if we are believers and we do borrow, we are required to repay. Okay. Um, I would just add that I think the system itself is also required to be fair and to be just. And when the system is unjust, it may take a superseding force to correct that. And I think that is what student loan relief or student debt cancellation is. It's what is required because the government, for whatever reason, has allowed the system to become so unrighteous and so unjust and so unfair in the way that these loans are structured, in the way that they are sort of predatory. And that many of these things I signed, I was like 17, 18 years old. Nobody explained to me what capitalized interest was. I didn't know what that was. And why you would be allowed to capitalize interest on a loan that was taken for education is bonkers to me. Bonkers. Why are we doing that? The only reason to do that is because you intentionally are intending for this loan to really not be paid off. If you're gonna take $100,000 and let's just say 4% interest, and then you're gonna capitalize that interest and keep adding that to the principal such that the person is paying and paying and paying, but the principal is not going down. In fact, it's going up. That is an unjust system. And so if you're going to point the finger at borrowers saying, oh, this your fault, you shouldn't have took this money and you should pay it back, you should pay. We have been paying. We've been paying for 20 years, but the number just is not going down. And when I say we have been paying, I don't mean, again, like I said, we're not paying $5. We're paying $500. We're paying $550. We're paying $600 a month. And the number's only going down incrementally, mostly because of the capitalized interest. So give people a break. Try to understand, put yourself in the borrower's shoes. I'm gonna go to the next slide. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget. All right. So on the one hand, the Bible says you're wicked if you borrow and don't repay. Got it. No issue with that. But the Bible also suggests that there is a point at which you're supposed to let it go. There's a point at which you're supposed to forgive. There's a point at which you're supposed to, again, discharge the debt. So Deuteronomy chapter 15, verses 1 and 2 says, at the end of every 7 years, you must cancel debts. That ain't me. That's the Bible. At the end of 7 years, you must cancel debts. This is how it is to be done. Every creditor shall cancel any loan they have made to a fellow Israelite. Now, obviously, this is speaking specifically from in terms of one Israelite who has loaned money to another Israelite, and obviously, like, Sally Mae ain't no Israelite. But I think the point remains the same. The Bible envisioned that a debt isn't something that you're supposed to take to your grave. Okay. If the loan is set up, and I think, again, I think the Bible is envisioning a loan that is set up in a just and fair and righteous fashion, a loan that if you are paying on it should be able to be maintained or paid off in a specific amount of time. And so while it's wicked to take out a loan with no intention or no effort to ever repay, I think it is also wicked to give a loan with no intention of it ever being repaid, to give a loan that is set up in such a way that it is almost impossible for this person, short of coming into some windfall or some inheritance or hitting the lotto, to have a lump sum of large money that could knock out some of the principal. If you're making a loan that is set up and structured such that this person is not likely to ever pay it, and so I'm going to hold this person for the rest of their life in bondage to this debt, I think that is also wicked. And we need to do something about that, not just complaining about the $10,000 that somebody's getting, on their $20,000 loan. Let me know if you agree, disagree, feel strongly one way or the other. Um, Final slide, I think. Also, Psalm 112:5. And I think this gets to the last point that I just made. It is well with the man who deals generously and lends, who conducts his affairs with justice. And I think that is what's missing from our current system of student loan borrowing. Justice. It is just unjust the way that it's done. It's very, again, predatory. I think if you're going to take a 17, 18-year-old to go to the financial aid office and just push a bunch of promissory notes across the table and say, sign here, sign here, sign here, with no real explanation or education as to how these interests work, about how these refund checks work, like, I didn't know I was going to get a refund check. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that. Now, in my mind, as a grown woman, I understand, okay, I could have been using that to pay back the loan. But at the time, I was kind of using that to live off of because I was broke. But if we could have some sort of education before people are signing these loans to tell them what capitalized interests are, or better yet, if the government could do something to legislate that these lenders are not allowed to charge capitalized interest, or not allowed to capitalize interest on student loans, because that just sets it up for the student to not ever be able to pay it off. So I think I understand somewhat people's beef, like people feeling like, why are we spending money on that? But I would caution us to not be hard hearted about this. I would caution us to not begrudge someone else being blessed. That's not a good situation either. I would caution us to not think that everything has to be about us, that we have to get everything. I would encourage us to think about the things that we got that somebody else didn't. I would caution us to be grateful if we were able to pay off our loans, if we were able to make a life for ourselves without going to college. I would encourage us to just be grateful about that. I would encourage us not to assume that life has been a crystal stair for those of us who did borrow and did go to school and did go to Ivy caliber schools. It wasn't all easy. It wasn't all a bed of roses. There was work, there was suffering, and there was sacrifice for many years involved in that. And so, I don't know. That was my spiel on it. I get you. I understand possibly the fleshly desire to be mad that somebody else got some good news, but like, who wants to be that guy? Who wants to be the person that's mad because someone else had something positive happen? Like, if this ain't the haterade, if this ain't the hateration, I don't know what is. Don't get mad, get glad. And again, everybody's paying taxes, and that tax money is going to something that doesn't personally and directly help them. So if we go down this path of, well, I didn't go to college, so why do my tax dollars have to go to pay off your student loans? If we let that ball start running, then where does it end? I don't have kids, so I shouldn't pay my taxes for public school. Only people who have children should pay that. Oh, well, I don't need welfare, so none of my money should go to welfare. I'm not elderly, so none of my money should go to Medicare. Oh, I'm not, like, that's just, we can't have that. This is a society where we are all supposed to be contributing, and hopefully we're all receiving something. Okay, so I get it, but no. So that was it. That was all I had to say. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody want to come up and share, their student loan story? I'm going to put the link in the chat now. If there's anyone, no pressure, it's not a requirement, but if there's anyone who wants to come in and chat with me for a minute about their student loan saga, or if they want to talk about why they're mad that somebody else got their student loans forgiven, or has an opportunity to get their loans forgiven, hit the link, come on up, let me know if you mad, or if you were a recipient, if you understand but you still mad, or if you kind of mad but you understand, if you salty about it, I would like to know. Let me know. But like I said, When I got that email saying my debt was relieved, that my student loans had been canceled, when I tell you Jesus paid it all, okay? All my sins and griefs and interest rates to bear, honey. He washed it white as snow. And I don't feel bad about it. And you're not gonna make me feel bad about it. You're not gonna make me feel like I'm in the victim Olympics. You're not. You're not. And if I was in the victim Olympics, I got the gold medal on that one, lane 3. Okay. Listen, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Y'all not gonna shame me for getting some student loan relief. Like I said, that's the first time I ever felt like my tax dollars actually went to me. I had felt for years like I'm paying taxes and I ain't getting no Medicaid, I ain't getting no Medicare, I ain't getting no Section 8. I ain't got no kids in public school. Um, what? It was before Obamacare, so y'all not paying for my insurance or nothing. So this was the first time I felt like I was actually getting a return on my investment. Okay, so I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Red Edge, Reed DJ. I don't know, child. I don't know. Charge it to my head and not my heart. Says it's not really fair, but I paid my loans years ago. So hey, okay, you paid your loans years ago, and this is another thing that might come up. I know a lot of people like in my mom's generation who are like, "Oh yeah, I paid mine," but easy to say when all you had was 10,000 or all you had was 15,000. I get it. Yeah, you paid yours. But for those of us who started going to college when college started costing all of a sudden $40,000 a year, we're coming out with significantly more than people the generation before us. And I don't know your age, so I'm not specifically saying this to you. I'm just saying in general to people who are older who are having this complaint of it not being fair. I think it's two totally different situations if you graduate and you have $15,000 in student loans, as opposed to if you graduate and you have $250,000 in loans. Let's see, you made a couple more comments. And listen, yes, you said we're on a slippery slope of people being held accountable for the responsibilities. Yes, I agree with this. I do feel that our society has become very much reliant on government, reliant on the state to facilitate every need, whether that be housing, food, shelter, education, everything. I get the concern. I really do. And I do believe that there should, or I'm not opposed to there being some strings attached to this. I get how it might start to look like, oh, I'll just go take out all these loans and then the government will pay. And, you know, I might go to class, I might not go to class, I might major in something that like is not useful. I understand that. So, as I said, in my case, my forgiveness was tied to 10 years of public service work. So it was something of an exchange. It wasn't just like a freedom. It wasn't like a you graduated yesterday and now we're forgiving. I worked for it. And in those 10 years, I was also making payments. So there was 10 years of payments and 10 years of service. So I understand if people would like there to be something, you know, requiring a little more than just you graduated and now you get forgiven. I get that. If it needs to be okay, 2 years of service, 5 years of service, or you know, we want to see that you do have some skin in the game. So make this many payments and then we can talk about forgiveness. I'm just for fairness. That's all. And I just don't think it's fair to tell kids really, because you're 17, 18 years old when you apply to college, that the only way to a good life is to go to college. One, to tell people that, which I don't believe that to be true, but that is what particularly my generation was told, to tell people that, to tell them you need to go to the best college, the highest ranked college you can go to, and then for these colleges to raise their prices like exponentially, and then for these banks to charge interest and then capitalize the interest such that your principal never really goes down unless you're able to basically double your payments. I just think that that is unfair. And so we just need to, I would be in favor of restructuring the entire system and not just using this as like a money grab and thinking that that's going to fix anything. I mean, it fixed my situation. Thank you. But for the people coming, like, okay, you do this now. What about 5 years from now when we're back in the same situation? So I think there needs to be some structural changes. So she said, I went to Syracuse for 30K a year. And okay, so we're in the same age group. I graduated in 97 as well. So we're in the same group. And my college at the time, I think it was about 32,000 a year. I went to Wellesley. It was about 32,000 a year at the time. I think it's well into the 40s at this point. But what's your profession? What did you do? What when you graduated, what was your job that enabled you to be able to um pay off your loans? I think the real issue needs to be addressed with why college costs so much now and why a degree is necessary when we need to go. Child, you ain't never lied. If I had a kid right now, I wouldn't discourage college, but I would definitely not be telling my child, you must go to college. It's a free community college right around the corner. You can learn a skill, a laborer, plumbing. Like these people are making more money than I made as an attorney. So I definitely think that we need to reevaluate, that we need to recalibrate, and that we need to just come on out and quit playing games and say that a lot of this college pricing and college ranking is scam city. It's scammerific because some of these colleges, how are you in the fourth tier, but you charging $40,000? Where they do that? How is it that like only 18% of your graduating classes is employed a year after graduation, but you cost $40,000? How do you cost the same amount as Harvard, but you got ABC University results? Like, stop it. Somebody needs to we need some regulation. And I know some people like, oh, we're overregulated, but this is crazy. Like, you are not a good school. Why are you charging $44,000 a year? Like, how is that adding up? And even if you are a good school, why does it cost this much? Well, all of this technology out here, with all of this, we've been managing to do school for 2 years without nobody in no classroom. Why is this costing this much money? Like, clearly, we don't need all of this stuff. What's going on? I'm with you. I think public service careers should be forgiven, but not some fluffy degree with no real contribution to society. I listen, I feel you. I hear you. And I think that this is definitely room for compromise to be like, okay, it the whole premise is you are going to school because you are going to be a contribution to society, because you are going to get a job and you are going to work and you're going to pay taxes and you are going to become part of our tax base to kind of keep this snowball of society running. We're not paying this for you to go to college, join a sorority or fraternity, barely go to class, be at every party, major in communications, and then be back on your mama's couch. I get it. I get it. So again, when we're talking about structure, in addition to having more structure or restructuring how loans are given and kind of maybe education for students who are taking these loans out so that they understand interest, so that they understand what they need to be doing with those refund checks that they get, so that they understand consolidation and things like that, to educate students who are taking out the loans, and also restructuring the interest. We also probably need to be restructuring our conversation about who actually needs to go to college, what the purpose or the objective of college actually is. If it's just to check a box to say you went, we could probably do away with that. But if it really is to prepare you for a specific function in society, then okay. And when it comes to the liberal arts, I went to a liberal arts college. I majored in English and political science. So I have an affinity for the liberal arts. And I think the liberal arts are important. I think it's important for society to have a certain culture, to understand music and art and literature. But I don't necessarily know if we need to be charging somebody $30,000 a year for that. I mean, last time I checked, the library card was only $1, and museums only have, as far as I know, recommended entrance fees, which are about $18 to $20. So maybe we don't need to charge so much for that liberal arts sort of education. I'm open to rethinking a lot of it. So I studied fashion design, but started working for myself doing event planning and interior decorating for a lot of the same clients. Oh, so you was a hustler. You were a bag chaser. I get it. You were like, this ain't about to be following me around for the rest of my life. We getting this joint paid off. I respect it. And congratulations. I really respect that. That's how I paid it off. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So that was basically it. If nobody wants to come up, I'll put it in here one more time. If anybody wants to come up and join me and talk to me about their student loan situation or experience. But other than that, that was it. I understand both sides. I just think there needs to be more fairness on both sides. I definitely think people need to be more accountable and more responsible and quit going to college when you know you barely went to high school. Like I even have cousins in my family, like, son, why, what are you doing? What are you doing? We had to pray that you made it out of high school. You know you don't even like school. You wouldn't even go to school when it was mandatory. You think you're gonna wake up and go when nobody's making you? What are you doing? Why are we doing this? At least test it out at the community college first before you go spending $30,000, $40,000 on somebody's college. We need to stop pretending like college is the golden ticket to the life of prosperity. No, it can be a stair step, a ladder, but there are so many other routes, especially now with all of this internet and all of these like social media virtual routes to earn money and be creative and start your own like with all of this, college doesn't, I don't think, have the same like death grip on success or the notion of success that it once did. But I definitely think these banks got a little out of control with the way they structured these loans and very predatory, especially. And we didn't even talk about these for-profit colleges. We didn't even talk about them. Hot mess. How you charging somebody thousands and thousands of dollars and you ain't even accredited? What is that about? And just preying on people who don't know better. That has to stop. Families, and especially in my community, African American families, ain't nobody told me nothing about them loans. My mama just said, "Well, I ain't got no money, so get in where you fit in." And I went to the financial aid office, and they said, "Sign right here," and that's what I did. I didn't read them things. Nobody told me what the process was going to be as far as paying them back. I didn't know how soon I was going to have to start paying. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know what a deferment was. I didn't know what a forbearance was. I didn't know none of that. I think in our communities, when we talk about financial literacy, it needs to be more than just, oh, generational wealth, the buzzwords. We need to be helping people practically understand, okay, you go into college, this is what this means. This is when you get that refund check, this is what you do with it. If they say capitalized interest, maybe look somewhere else for be a competitive type of loan. Understanding the difference between when you're 16 and one loan says 7% interest and the other one says 3.5, you don't really know. You're not doing the calculations. We need to be educated. Like, that's a big difference. Know what that means. Put in front of them with the calculator, this is how many thousands of dollars that is going to represent over the life of this loan. There's a difference between 7% and 3.5. For real, for real. Private loans versus the government loans. We need to be educating families, our cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, probably more like nieces and nephews, about the financial aid loan process, and educating them about the consequences of defaulting and of not paying your loans. um, Yeah, it's too easy for young people to take out huge loans for education. They wouldn't do that with mortgage. Exactly. Exactly. They be all in your business for a mortgage. They won't, you know, all your business, all your rap sheets. They want to know. Shoot, even to get a lease these days, they want all your business. Okay. But for these student loans, ain't nobody told me nothing but sign here. And that's exactly what I did. So maybe we can try to better educate ourselves, better educate the people in our community so that we don't end up back in this situation again. So that, unfortunately, education, which was supposed to be the thing to lift our people up out of poverty, doesn't actually end up having the effect of being the thing that keeps us held in poverty, because we're stuck with these huge, oppressive, burdensome student loan balances and debts. Um, yeah, what else should she say? Agreed. There needs to be education years before they even. Yeah, why is this not a class that you're taking like in your senior year or even in your junior year? I would say when you're applying to college, why wouldn't that practically make sense? Why? I don't understand. And why in America are we acting like just everybody go to college? I have cousins who live in Switzerland. They took some tests when they was about 14, 15, when they started high school, and that test was like, okay, you're good at this, you're going here. Okay, you're good at this, these are your three options. Okay, you're not good at any of this, so don't even step over here, let's move you back over here. And their system, it was like, let's find out your aptitude and let's find out your affinity for certain things and kind of guide you into an area that's going to be a good fit for you and a good fit for society, because we know you're good at this is going to help our society when you become a therapist or a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer. And also this is going to be something that is going to work well for you because either you're good at it, you have the aptitude for it, and hopefully you like it. Whereas in America, there's no guidance. It's just like your heart's desire, whatever you want, free for all, without any kind of direction regarding aptitude and regarding like what is needed in society. So I think if we could find like a middle ground, because I don't necessarily think a person should be pigeonholed into doing one thing at the age of 16, but if we could find like a middle ground, like let's find out what you're good at, okay, and maybe direct most of our attention there, but leave open the possibility of something else. But for now, these are your top three choices of what you can do. And over there, because it's paid for by the government, it's like they have an interest in making sure like that you finish and that you are going to be a productive member of society and make contributions. Financial education needs to be required in high school. Exactly. I don't know what's going on in high school now, child. I don't know what they teaching. Don't even get me started. Yes, the Swiss have a great system for matching the youth with what they are good at and makes them successful. Yeah, because my cousins, by the time, and I think they start school earlier or something, because by the time she was maybe, when she was like 16 or 17, she was like starting whatever their version of college is. And it's more of a kind of like tailored, like I'm in this track. 17 years old, I'm becoming a nurse. I'm on the doctor track. I'm on the veterinarian track. I'm teacher. And they knew it and they had what they were doing. Whereas I feel like in America, people, like I have family members who are still bopping around at like 24, 25, still like, I don't know. Oh, I'm undeclared. I'm undecided. I'm this, I'm that. And there's just no real like direction. Oh, Nicci for president. Child, it would never work. This mouth right here. Mm-mm. I would be on every hot mic saying every inappropriate thing, and not inappropriate in terms of like the wording, because I don't really have a foul mouth, but inappropriate in terms of like we wasn't prepared for all that truth. No, we didn't come here for that. We came here for platitudes, and you're trying to talk to us about principles? Who invited you? It would be a problem. And I'm not trying to kiss nobody baby. Get that baby out my face. It's cute, but I'm not trying to shake all these people's hands. People got monkeypox. People don't wash their hands. I don't know how people run for office. That is too much. You gotta hug people. People throw their baby in your face. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Yes, exactly. I would keep it real, but people claim they want folks to keep it real with them. They don't. This is what I have learned. People claim they want you to keep it real. They do not. They do not. They do not. Well, listen. Um, I wish I knew how to say your name right. Red DJ? Reed DJ? I don't know. But I thank you for being here. I really enjoyed your comments. You brought a definitely a different perspective. But see, your perspective was also very balanced. You were not one of these people out here like just mad, mad, mad. You just saying, okay, there's some privileges. If having your debt canceled is a privilege, there's also got to be some corresponding obligations. And I think that that is fair. If you're going to have some rights, you also got to have some responsibilities. I'm with that. I feel that. Red Edge. Okay, Red Edge. Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for the phonetic assistance. Appreciate it. I want you to come back next week. I'm here every Sunday, allegedly. I've been here 4 weeks consistently. So every Sunday, 5 p.m., Savory and Sucka Free, where candid conversation meets flavorful faith. And I also want you to go on over. I'm going to put another link in the chat for you. It's at the top of the chat, but you might have to scroll back up past all the comments to get it. So I'm going to put it in here again for you. And I'm going to let you know, and put it up on the screen. Um, so I just put up in the chat the link to Soul Glow September. This is a 4 week, completely free group coaching experience that is going to be starting on September 7th. I'm going to be having 4 group coaching sessions for women of faith. And we're just going to be figuring out how we can finish Q4, the end of the year, into 2022 strong and be prepared to start fresh in 2023. So each week we're going to be covering a new sort of faith principle that I believe is going to help us finish the year strong. Not only finish the year strong, but these are going to be tools that we can use going forward in life, as far as living a life that is in the light. Okay. And when we're living in the light, sometimes we will encounter darkness. And how do we, as women of faith, encounter darkness? How do we walk boldly in the midst of darkness? Because I don't know if anybody else is looking, but it's dark out here. This culture, this society, it's a lot of craziness going on. So how do we equip ourselves to be able to be bold in these times where the easier thing to do would be to take the path of least resistance and to shrink back and to be kind of quiet and stand in the corner so as not to ruffle other people's feathers. I want us to be bold. I want us to be women of faith who walk into the room and change the temperature. Instead of becoming accustomed to whatever the temperature is in the room, we walk in the room and we set the tone. We walk in the room and we influence the room as opposed to letting the room influence us. So those are some of the concepts that we're going to be going over. I'm going to be announcing specifically the 4 topics for each week coming up. But in the meantime, definitely hit that link, check it out. Like I said, it's totally free. Oh, I'm so glad. I would love to see you there. And thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed conversing with you virtually, and I hope to see you next week. And, around this virtual world, keep coming back. The Glow Code, lots of stuff coming up again, end of this year and early next year. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, I also need you to stay connected. So follow me on Instagram at _ the glow code, on Facebook, and on Twitter. I don't really be on them Twitters too much, but that's my Twitter handle. Really on Instagram is where I post the most. Instagram and YouTube. So follow me so that we can stay in touch and so that you can get your daily doses of glow and inspiration on Instagram. Well, I have talked more than I thought I would, y'all, but I know y'all not surprised because that's what she do. Anyways, I hope that you guys all have a great week. For those of you who are going to be getting student loan forgiveness, I'm happy for you. I'm not hating on you. I feel you because I was a recipient as well. But I would encourage you, once you get these loans forgiven, go out, be productive, make contributions, and don't fix your lips to be mad at somebody else who is getting some other benefit. Don't get this loan forgiveness and then be mad at somebody else getting Section 8, okay? And don't be on Section 8 mad because I got some student loan forgiven. Don't be getting your little farm subsidies and then want to talk about me for getting my loans forgiven. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you be out there getting every tax break known to man, woman, child, and alien, but then you mad at me for getting some student loan relief. Stop it. We all hopefully are contributing and getting something back. And for those of you who out there not contributing purposely, just choosing to not contribute at all, in no way, no job, no school, no nothing, you just laying up, wasting your life, God is not pleased. God is not pleased. So I would encourage you to quit thinking you're just going to scam your whole way through life on the free and not have to explain yourself. And not just in terms of you paying taxes, but just in terms of you not living up to the call on your life, in terms of you not fulfilling the destiny that is in you. If you're breathing and you're alive and you're here for a purpose and with a purpose. And if you just laying up watching 8 episodes of Maury Povich every day, not working, not doing nothing, that wasn't the mission that he sent you here with. It was not. So for those of you who are not contributing and just want to scam your way through life, that's not a good look either. So let's all be good to one another. Let's love each other. Let's take care of one another. Let's be happy for one another when we get good news. Let's know that God has enough. Because I think a lot of times we get stuck thinking, oh, I'm mad that they got something because that means I'm not getting something. Nope. That's a pagan mentality, my friends. Our Heavenly Father has all the things. He has more than enough. So we don't have to begrudge another person for getting something. We don't have to begrudge another person for getting a handout. Because no matter what's being handed out by any government program, at the end of the day, the person who's really handing it out is the Most High God. It all belongs to Him. So if He saw fit to give it to me via the federal government, who are you to have something to say? Okay, so let's love each other. Let's care for one another. Let's be productive. Let's be responsible. Let's take accountability for our actions. Let's make better decisions. Let's educate our communities and our children so that we can make good financial decisions. Let's restructure and fix this student loan scammy system that we got going to make it more just. And let's fix these colleges that's overcharging for no apparent reason other than profit and grift. Okay, that's it. That's all I had to say. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I was trying to make it a little lighter, but we get heavy over here sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. But I hope you all have a great week. As we always say before we leave here at the Glow Code, I want you all to know the code, live the code, light the world, hit the link in the chat. See me at Soul Glow September, and I will see you guys next Sunday. And also, if you guys have topics that you want me to talk about, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comment box or not the description box, the comment. Drop a comment. Let me know if there's specific topics, specific current events, or pop culture things that you would like my take on, or that you think would be good for a topic for the next episode. I would be happy because I'd be trying to figure out what we're gonna talk about. Was there anything else I needed to say? Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button before you leave. If you're watching this on the replay, subscribe, hit the like button, drop a comment. I will see you guys soon.